Hey guys, to paraphrase John Riggs, how you feeling? Brett Weiss here. Welcome to another video. I want to talk about why I am not giving up collecting retro video games. Now, several people have posted videos recently or commented on social media that they're done with retro game collecting. They're through with it, prices are too high, and it's too hard to find anything when you're out game chasing, when you're out on the hunt, when you're going to pawn shops, thrift stores, garage sales. It's too hard to find anything. I totally understand that, and they say it's just not worth your time to go out game hunting because it's too hard to find deals, it's too hard to find older games. People are putting stuff on eBay, people are selling them to retro gaming stores instead of throwing them out in their garage sale. I totally understand why, but I am not giving up on retro game collecting yet. I'm going to show you some stuff I've found recently, including tell you the prices and just why I still like retro game collecting, and just why I'm not giving up on it. My good buddy RGT85, awesome dude, he posted a video just talking about this very thing. He's sort of burnt out on game collecting. He doesn't like the high prices. He doesn't like graded, the whole notion of grading video games and that kind of thing. Totally understandable. I get it, I do, but I want to talk about why I'm not giving up on retro collecting. Very briefly, if you guys have been following my books, my social media, etc., you know that the Nes Omnibus Volume 2, I do have a physical copy, the advanced copy. You guys know it's been pushed back to late March. It was supposed to be here in late October and then late December. Now it's late March, but it's completely finished. As you can see, it's all to do with shipping and all the stuff with the pandemic and everything, and just the employee shortages, the whole works. My publisher has been in contact with me. I deeply regret that. However, you guys can get a PDF, a digital copy of this book right away. All you have to do is just join my Patreon page for a mere $8. At the $8 level and up, you can get a free digital copy of this book. That's about a $30 value. These types of books, digital copies usually cost at least $20, $30. So yeah, you can do that. Just, Brett Weiss Patreon, Google it. I'll also put a link here. So check me out on Patreon. If you've pre-ordered the book, contact me through social media. You can easily find me. And I will email you the PDF. If you've already pre-ordered a physical copy of this book, I will email you the PDF, and you can already read the book. So there you go. All right, so why am I still into retro game collecting? Number one, I still love it. I've been doing it for many years, since the late 70s with the Mattel handhelds and the Coleco handhelds and all of that. And in the early 80s when I got my ColecoVision and Atari 2600, etc. And I've been collecting and keeping my stuff ever since then. So yeah, I have some regrets where I've sold some stuff or traded some stuff I'd like to have back. But overall, I've kept most of my collection. And, other than when I was intentionally buying to resell, but the things I want to play, that I want to collect, that I think look cool on my shelf, or just to fill in slots, and like my Atari 2600 collection, I've largely kept all that stuff. And I intend to keep retro collecting vintage video games because I'm still having fun doing it. Now, RGT85 made a good point that when you go out looking for games, like at garage sales, flea markets and pawn shops, thrift stores and all of that, you're not finding as much stuff. That's true, and it may not be worth your time. I used to, all through the 90s and through the 2000s, up until the late 2000s, and even beyond a little bit, I would go out on specific days to do a whole trip, a whole day of retro game collecting. Flea markets, like I said, on the weekends. But during the week, I would just sit out and I would go to thrift stores. I would go to pawn shops, and I would always find stuff. There was an electronic discount sales store that I would find things. I would go to, in the late 90s and early 2000s, Funcoland/GameStop. I could find stuff there super cheap to keep, resell, whatever. Game collecting, game chasing, game hunting was awesome in the 90s and even up through the 2000s. Not so much anymore. It's really hard to find stuff. I don't go on specific buying trips anymore. Very rarely. I don't set out to go game chasing just for games. I don't go to this place, spend several hours going to game chasing because it's usually not that fruitful and it's going to be several hours. However, when I'm out and about, Like if I passed by a half-price bookstore, if I passed by a pawn shop on a way to run an errand, if I'm going to the dentist on the other side of town for some reason, like my regular dentist is booked up and I need to go, I'm in a different part of town, I might go to a Goodwill I've never seen before. Pop in, pop out, a few minutes. It doesn't really cost me that much time, and it's fun to do in limited spurts. So I'm still doing that kind of retro collecting, even though I'm not going to all these different places on a regular basis. Used to about maybe 2 or 3 times a month, I would set out to go to all these places, and I would come back with carloads of stuff. On Saturday mornings, I would go with my parents. 3 or 4 hours, we would go to garage sales almost every Saturday morning. Now, this was a great way to spend time with my parents. That just something we both enjoyed. You know, they would be looking for my mom would be looking for maybe housewares or something to give to people, you know, for just her friends. She would look for things just to give them for free because she enjoyed doing that. My dad might be looking for tools or bicycle parts because he bought and sold bicycles. I would, of course, be looking for games and also for comic books and all kinds of geeky stuff. Records. Records aren't really geeky, but you know what I mean. Cool pop culture stuff. And I would come back every single Saturday morning with a freaking truckload of stuff. My dad would take his truck, and I would fill up the back of the truck, the cab area, you know, because he had, you know, 4-door truck, fill that up with games, and sometimes we'd have to put some stuff in the back. I remember putting a boxed Atari 2600 that I got for $4 in the pickup bed, you know, in the bed of the truck, just because it was big and the whole truck was filled with stuff we were finding. It is not like that anymore. We're living in a different world, unfortunately. But I still like to game chase here and there, sporadically, and when I'm out and about anyway. It helps that I have an antique mall, you know, booth. I'll put the link in the description for that too. I've got a booth in an antique mall in the Fort Worth, Texas area, and I look for stuff for that as well. So it's sort of, you know, I maximize my time when I'm out game chasing. I'm also looking for books, records to resell, even cassette tapes have made a comeback lately. I'm looking for those, all kinds of stuff. So that's one reason I still collect retro games, because I'm always looking for other stuff as well, so I will stumble across some good deals. Let me show you some of those I've found recently. Now, if you've watched some of my other videos, you might see a couple of these items, but I'm showing a few for the first time here. I was at the Video Game Summit in Chicago during the summer, and there was a guy with a bunch of Intellivision games. He didn't really care what he had. He's figured Intellivision, not worth much. So he just had his commons, or his cartridges, I should say, because they weren't all common. He had his cartridges for $2 each. Super Pro Football. Now, if you guys know, if you're Intellivision fans, you know this came out much later than NFL football and is much harder to find. $2. Motocross. That's another game that came out later in the life of the Intellivision that's harder to find. And I got hockey, which came out after NHL hockey. Not a super rare game or anything, but 3 games to add to my collection that I didn't have. I've got a pretty big Intellivision collection, but some of these later releases are some of the redundant titles. I don't necessarily have every iteration or every game for the system. So boom, $2 each I added to my Intellivision collection recently, this past summer, in fact. What else have I got? At the Houston Arcade Expo for $10, I got this Last Starfighter Laserdisc. Now, if you're a little burnt out on retro collecting, but you still like collecting and you still love retro gaming, maybe think outside of the box a little bit. Add some different things to your collecting list or what you're looking for. I've covered this in my Half Price Books videos where you're looking at other parts of the stores for retro gaming related stuff, such as this Last Starfighter disc for just $10 at the Houston Arcade Expo swap meet. Super cool. I consider retro gaming related stuff retro gaming, collecting, game hunting, so there you go. Now, guys, this was my best find in a really long time. I was at Half Price Books looking through their magazines. A lot of the Half Price bookstores, they sell most of their magazines for $1 a piece. The collectible ones, they'll typically mark up. Well, somebody that worked there put this gem, this comic book, this graphic novel, in the magazine section, because it's magazine size roughly. They put it out for $1. It had no cover price, and in their magazine section, they said, you know, all magazines are $1 if they're not otherwise marked. Boom. This sucker is in this condition is worth at least $50 or $60. Likely more. This thing is just gem near mint condition. I know you say gem mint condition, but what about gem near mint? Anyway, so I've got that for $1. Awesome, retro game collecting. This is cool. I went to a event at the National Video Game Museum, and they had a swap meet. This was, gosh, last spring or so, whenever it was. It's within the last year. And John Hardy, the guy that runs the museum, had a few factory sealed games for sale from his booth, including, check out this Space Harrier. How cool is this? This is Space Harrier for computers, Commodore 64 and 128. How cool is that? Factory sealed. I bought 5 games from him for 20 bucks. Or, no, 4 games for 20 bucks because it was $5 each. He gave me a package deal, sort of a bro discount because we're good friends. And this one is a definite keeper. How cool is that? Really beautiful box art. I love that. Now, I've got a Commodore 64 that I play cartridges on. This is not a cartridge. This is a floppy disk. I don't do floppy disks, but hey, this is going to look great on my shelf. Boom, retro game collecting for cheap and awesome. All right, what else have I found recently? Now, this is kind of crazy. When I walk my dog, I love walking dogs. I work for WAG. I walk dogs for WAG. It's a lot of fun, and I make a little bit of gas money here and there. You know, I make a few extra dollars, but I just love doing it because I love dogs, and I love walking. I love being outdoors. I love walking my dog. On bulk pickup day, this is a lot of fun because sometimes I've found some furniture that I put in my yard. I've found CDs that I've put in my collection. Some I've sold in my antique booth. People throw stuff away like crazy, and it's just fun walking around the neighborhoods. Now, I don't dig through their trash or anything like that. They just have stuff sitting on top. Now, a lot of times the stuff is sitting on top because they want to get rid of it. They're looking to, they want you to pick it up. And I'll do that here sometimes. If I have something that I don't want, it's just one item. Like I had a weight bench the other day that I was getting rid of because I don't use it anymore. I'll just do push-ups or, curls or something like that. But I don't use the weight bench anymore. So I just put it outside by the road. Boom, somebody took it. Well, some people do this with pop culture items, with physical media, with so many people going to downloads and streaming and all this. People will put stuff out front. You will be surprised. I'm out walking dogs anyway. I might as well look and see what's out there. And I kid you not, recently, mixed in with a bunch of CDs, I found this Starcraft battle chest game. Battle chest, not chess, battle chest game. How cool is this? And I found out, as I looked at it, I discovered that it is factory sealed. Now, is this a game I'm ever gonna play? No. Is this a game I'm even gonna put on my shelf for display? No, I really don't care about this release much. I'm not into the Starcraft games. I'm really not into PC gaming, but this is good trade bait because it is worth a little bit, I believe. I looked it up on eBay. It's worth a few bucks. And this is perfect for trade bait. So next time I go to a show, I can trade this for retro games perhaps. Or maybe just stick it on my table and sell it. Whatever the case, boom, retro game collecting. Another reason I'm not giving up. All right, guys, now this is my last pickup here. This is unusual because these items were given to me. Now, I realize this is a rarity, although if you tell enough people you collect games, I've heard of people telling their coworkers that they were a retro game collector and they've gotten stuff free that people just have given to them. These were given to me. I don't want to reveal the source just for personal reasons or whatever, just to protect the person's privacy or whatever. But this little collection was given to me just because the person didn't want them. Escape from Monkey Island, big box PC game. See the original price, $14.99. And again, I am not a PC collector. I don't collect computer games, but this is a pretty important title. Will I put this in my game room on the shelf? Maybe I'll use it as trade bait. That's really neat. Curse of Monkey Island. This one's not factory sealed, but still it's in excellent condition. Historic title, Tomb Raider. Now this bad boy, even though I'm not a PC game collector, this bad boy's probably going in my game room just because it looks so great. Iconic Lara Croft. This would look amazing on the shelf. I have them set aside right now just for this video, but this will go somewhere in my game room just because it looks badass. I'm sorry, it's awesome. Last and not least, Call of Cthulhu. Shadow of the Comet, an adventure inspired by H.P. Lovecraft. Now, I have read a lot of Lovecraft over the years, big fan of his work, but I will probably use this for trade bait as well. Pretty awesome stuff, guys. So, I'm still retro collecting. when I see us, you know, when I'm driving around running some errands or going to the bank or just out maybe looking for stuff for my antique mall booth, I will look for retro games. I still find the occasional deal. I still find deals at shows. If you look under tables, in boxes, if you dig around a little bit, you guys can still find deals on retro gaming. Yes, retro games have gone way up in price, especially now with grading, with auctions, with just retro gaming being in the media. But a lot of times that's factory sealed stuff. That's complete in box stuff. You can still find loose carts. You can still find a deal. If you're a beginner getting into retro gaming, you can still buy an Atari 2600 with 20 games or so for around 100, 150 bucks online. So it's not completely out of the question that you could get into retro gaming. If you've been doing it a long time like me, you can still find the occasional deal. Maybe you'll get some stuff for free. Anyway, let me know in the comments if you still collect retro games, if that's still a hobby of yours. If you've given up on retro game collecting, let me know that as well. I would love to hear from you. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for liking this video. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. And again, I'm sorry about that this is running late. It is super frustrating that I can't get these to you guys because I don't have my copies to send out yet. Amazon doesn't have their copies, but you can get a digital copy. Digital copies are not for sale. The publisher's not selling them, but I will give them, I'm giving my patrons at the $8 and up level a free digital copy. So if you want to follow me on Patreon, I would greatly appreciate it. You'll get a ton of other stuff too. Other digital books, digital magazines, behind the scenes photos, behind the scenes information. I just released the cover of a book I haven't announced yet. My patrons have seen that at the $3 level and up. So guys, follow me on Patreon if that's your thing. If it's not, keep coming back, watch my videos. I'd greatly appreciate it. I recently passed 3,400 subscribers. Super excited about that. Looking forward to getting to 3,500 and 4,000. Thanks guys. Before I keep rambling on, I better go. We'll talk to you later. If you're a fan of my work, you might want to consider supporting me on Patreon. For just a low fee each month, you get a lot of extra content. Another way to support the channel and my writing career is to buy books direct from me, including the 100 Greatest Console Video Games, the Classic Home Video Game Series. It's like an encyclopedia set. And this massive bad boy, the Nes Omnibus Volume 1 A through L. I will put links in the description of this video where you can buy books direct from me and where you can support me on Patreon. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it.